Hi everyone, welcome to Chasing Adventures. The first thing I'm going to add to the Lone Peak camper is a off-grid power system, solar power system, that's gonna go right on the panel back there. Now for full disclosure, LiTime did send me all this product for me to test and share with you guys, but I do have LiTime battery currently installed in my travel trailer and it's been working great. So, why not go with them again? So if you're interested in this build, with all the parts that I had together. I ordered a bunch of parts from Amazon and more than half of them are returning, but that's part of being a DIY project like this. So if you're interested in a project like this, I'll leave the links to all the items that I'm using today in the video description. So first, let me quickly go over the specs of these and see what's included in the box. And then I'll show you my plans and how I'm going to be installing or mounting this onto the camper. So let's start from here. So first of all, this is a 500 amp battery monitor. Comes with the manual, a shunt, battery monitor display, a 12-volt power wire, and a 6-meter long power wire for the monitor, and some screws to mount the shunt. And what this will allow me to do is monitor my battery status and the voltage and how much power it's being withdrawn and all of that. So this is a must-have for a system like this. Next up, 30 amp MPPT solar charging controller. Comes with the manual, installation guide, and mounting holes. And this is the mounting and connection hardwares. And I believe this is a battery temperature controller. And the unit itself. That's a beautiful finish. Like it. So what this will allow me to do is charge my battery with the solar panel. And basically it's going to draw from the solar panel, put back into the battery. And you could also connect a load up to 20 amp with this. And you also have the display, controller, and a large heatsink fins. And this is the back side with all the connections. Very nice. Up next, 1000-watt inverter. Pure sine wave, that's important. All right, so this is a 1000-watt power inverter. So what this will do is transfer the 12-volt from the battery DC power to a 120 volt AC power, and also has a display here with on and off switch. And this is the positive and negative terminal. It's got 2 fans, and also comes with the 6-gauge power cable and the mounting screws. And finally, the battery. Now this is a 100 amp hour battery, so it's equivalent to a say 1200 watt hour power station. Does come with the mounting legs, terminal covers, mounting hardware. Whoa, and the battery itself, this is kind of heavy. This thing weighs around 32 pounds. Now, more traditionally, like those, I don't know, let's say the batteries that's in my travel trailer, which is a Group 24, that weighed around 25 pounds. And this is a 32 pounds, so it is a bit heavier. But the reason why I got this was so that I could mount it onto the wall, so I could have space here. Now the whole reason why we got this camper is so that we could go camping as a family. And so my wife and my son's gonna sleep down here, and we're gonna have a blow-up mattress. And that's gonna take up this whole real estate, so I can't really have anything on the bottom of the bed. And me and my daughter is gonna sleep up there. So that's the reason why I went with this. So this is a 12.8 volt, rated capacity is again 100 amp hour, and it's equivalent to 1280 watt hour power station. Charging rate voltage is lithium ion, so it's 14.4. Max continuous discharge current is 100 amp, and max continuous output power is 1280 watts. And then this is fully covered, and it's IP65, so it's waterproof and dust proof. And you got mounting holes for the brackets on all the corners. And then the battery terminal, positive and negative. And then finally, to control all the lights that I'm going to be putting onto this camper, like interior light, diesel heater, and some other accessories, I'm reusing my MIG tuning wireless switch panel. So essentially, this will act as what Lone Peak camper calls juice box. Okay, so to control all the lighting that they have on their camper. And again, it's wireless, so I could just mount this anywhere and control all the lights. And this is a switch panel, and I could connect up to 8 different lights. So I'm gonna be reusing this. And then of course I got some 4-gauge wires for the power and a 8-gauge power wires for the solar controller, some 40 amp circuit breaker and a 100 amp circuit breaker for the inverter, a battery disconnect so I could safely disconnect my battery when I'm not using it, and then a cigarette lighter plug and some USBs to charge my cell phone or whatever. And I got positive and negative buzz bar to route all the wires, and some wood screws and different size nuts and bolts, and then M8 16mm bolts. This will go onto the railing. And lastly, I'm gonna stain my wood, so I got the Darkest Night semi-transparent stain. And after multiple times of configuring where I'm gonna put all of this, initially I was gonna mount the battery onto the side of the bed using these molded panels. But the problem was I need to place a panel of wood on top of the molded panel, but to hold the wood to the molded panel, I'm gonna have to use a screw and a nut like this to hold the wood to the molded panel. But the only problem was this was gonna be sticking out from the wood, and the battery needs to be flushed with the wood. So, that was kind of out of the way. And then I was gonna put the battery on the bottom and just have the power wire run up there and then put all of that on top of the camper. But the only thing is, then the blow-up mattress won't fit in here correctly. So the only other option that I had was to actually put all of this onto the wall. So that's why I got a 2x4 plywood to mount onto the camper and mount everything on there. And the size works out perfectly. And this is the little wiring diagram that I drew. So basically I'm gonna have the battery here onto the right, and the positive power is gonna go all the way to the other side to the 275 amp battery disconnect switch. And then from there, it's gonna go into the positive bus bar. And then the negative will go to the shunt first, and then from the shunt, it'll go to the negative bus bar. So really from this point, I could route all the positive wires to, wherever I need to, and then all the negative wires to wherever I need to. And since I'm gonna have my solar panel onto the driver's side, I'm gonna put my solar charger closer to the driver's side. And then from there, I'm gonna have solar panel wires coming in, and it's gonna pass through 40 amp circuit breaker, get connected to the solar charger, and the negative to the negative side of the solar panel. And then the positive on the battery side is gonna then go through a 40 amp circuit breaker into the bus bar, and then the negative is gonna go to the negative bus bar. And this is where I'm gonna have my 1000-watt inverter, and that's gonna go through a 100 amp circuit breaker into the bus bar. And then the negative is gonna go all the way to the negative bus bar. And this is where I'm gonna have my MIG tuning switch panel. Now, this part, I might just connect it to the solar charger since the load is up to 20 amp, which is about 240 watts of power. And honestly, just for now, I'm gonna be running interior lights and a diesel heater to the switch panel. So I think that should be sufficient enough. But if I wanted to future-proof myself, then I'll just connect it to a 60 amp circuit breaker and then connect it to a bus bar so I could have separate power and just save that for later. And then the cigarette lighter plug charger is gonna get connected to the switch panel, and USB charging port's gonna be connected to a switch panel too. So that's the pretty much gist of it. And to charge the battery when the car is in park, I bought a 20 amp AC/DC wall charger that I could connect it to the battery and have the battery charged that way. And what's good thing about this is that the truck has a 400 watt inverter into the bed. So I could connect the AC/DC wall charger to the bed and connect it to the battery, so that way the battery is going to be charging as I'm going to my destination. So that's a good part about this. So that's pretty much the basic idea and wiring that I'm going to do. But since I'm not an electrician, if I did make a mistake somewhere, please let me know in the comment section. I'd love to know so I could fix it. And now, since I know where I'm gonna put everything, I'm just gonna stain the plywood. So first I'm just gonna quickly sand the edges of the plywood so it gives it a nice smooth finish, because my kids are gonna be in here. Oh, and another thing is, if you guys are planning to do any type of project with your camper, make sure to get these T-slot bolts from Lone Peak, because these are specifically made for their camper and they're one of a kind. So I couldn't find them on anywhere. Well, at least for the upper slots. So make sure to get a bunch of these. Okay, so sanding is pretty much done. I'm just gonna test the stain on the back side of the board just to see if I like it or not. If not, because I really don't mind this natural wood color either. So let me try that first. Oh, and by the way, this is a 1/2 inch thick sandy plywood. Now I was gonna go with a BC plywood. This seems more tougher and stronger, but the quality and the finish was not that great. So I just went with this. Hopefully it should be fine for this project. Stain here. Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So let me go ahead and stain the other side and then we'll go from there. Okay, so while I'm waiting on the stain to dry up, I'm just gonna put a small little probably 1 inch wood on the railing here to give it more support for that whole panel, because the panel is going to be basically held on by the rails up here and here. And honestly, I was gonna do a whole thing around here, but I have to run some wires behind the board, so I'm just gonna give just a little bit more rigidity and support from all that weight sagging down onto these rails. So basically I'm just gonna put T-slot nut here and then tighten it down, and I'm just gonna screw into the wood like that. And then I'm just gonna put some double-side tape to hold this wood in place while I'm screwing it in. All right, that's pretty on there. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to measure and drill holes on the panel for the T-slot bolts so that we could tighten it on here. And I'm gonna have the board flush with this rail, and from the bottom portion of the rail to the middle portion of this T-slot is about a 1/2 inch. And then same thing on the top. Top is a little bigger. We're looking at 5/8. Okay, and I'm just gonna measure where I'm gonna put the holes. And so we're at 4 foot, and I want to have at least 4 mounting points on this board. Okay, so I measured all the holes, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna drill a hole out here. First using a 5/32, and then I'm gonna go with the 3/8 since the screw or the bolt that we're putting in through here is M8 bolt. So we need to drill a hole for 3/8. All right, so all the holes are made, and it's slightly, ever so slightly bigger than the M8, but that gives us just enough wiggle room if we did make a mistake. So hopefully we didn't. So now let's go ahead and test fit this. Oh man, this is a 16 mil. I thought I'm gonna have enough room to squeeze this in, but it's barely catching on. Let me trying a 20 mil. From my calculation, this was a little bit too long. Yeah, that's a little too long. So I think what I could do is I could use a 20 mil and put some washers. And it's gonna stick out like that, but let's try it. Since there's no like direct manual on what to do, it's kind of like a DIY project. Makes it interesting. So I put 1 washer. See what happens. Yeah. So 1 washer is enough. So what I think I could do is put a washer and a lock washer. Put that all together. And that should be enough. Yeah, that should be good. I mean, it does stick out a little bit, but I don't know. For now, I'm just gonna use this. I may have to order I don't know if they even have M8, per se, like 18 mil. So yeah, this is a 16 mil. This is a 20 mil, and 20 mil is way too long. 16 mil is way too short. So I need in between 18 mil. Let me check if they have it. Okay, so yeah, they do have M8 by 18 millimeter. So I'll just go ahead and order that. Yeah, so anyways, if you're using a 1/2 inch plywood, then you would need a M8 by 18 mil if you don't want to use spacers and washers. But yeah, let's go ahead and test fit this to make sure all the holes are lined up. So if I lined everything correctly, it should just slide right in. Okay, I got the... Oh, that's right. You know what? The bottom rail is a smaller T-bolt. So let me grab those. Because I was like, the top is going in, but bottom is not. What's going on, you know? Just realized. Use a smaller T-nut for the bottom. Okay, I got the upper portion right. So let me try putting the bottom ones now. Hey, it worked. Good. Woo! Okay, now I just have to make sure they're spaced out evenly and put some screws like right here on these points for that extra stability. But yeah, so far so good. Okay. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. But just for safety measures. Okay, now I'm just gonna put some wood screws to hold them all together. Ooh, that black finish, satin finish, and this gold goes pretty well. I like it. Oh yeah. Great. So now the test fit went perfectly fine. Let's take it out, put all the parts, and then put it back together. And then at the end, we'll see if I can power it on, and hopefully everything will be fine. All right, so I have everything laid out where I exactly want them. So now all I have to do is drill a pilot holes and screw them all down. Now for the DC cigarette lighter charger and the USB port and this LiTime battery monitor, I do have to make a hole. For instance, this one, I do have to make a hole on the panel for it to slide in. And then the wire, monitor wire, is going to get connected to here. So what I have to do is make a hole and make another hole here for the wire to come out. And then for the USB charger, these will just mount on, but then I have to run the wire behind the panel into the switch box. So I have to make another hole here. And same thing with this. This will just mount onto the board, but then I have to run the wires behind the panel and then put it there. So got some little more work to do, but we're almost coming to an end. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, so I have all the necessary holes cut. Could have been a little better, but I was cutting this with the jigsaw, so it's not the best, but this will do for now. Made a hole here. Let's see if it actually fits. All right, so here's the monitor. Come on, fit. Oh yeah. Look at that, snug fit, perfect. Not bad. All right, so I'm gonna have to mount everything except for the battery because that's the heaviest, and then put it on to the camper, and then I'm gonna put the battery on the last because that's the heaviest part. Yeah, so and then we should be good to go after that. All right, so that took a while, but I have everything wired up as shown on my diagram, except for the solar panels. I'm waiting for the plug to come. So as soon as the plug comes, I'm gonna connect the negative and the positive to that plug, and the solar power's cable is gonna go out through the window and get charged there. Now, let's go ahead and turn the switch on and see what happens. And hopefully everything should work, right? So there's on. What happens? Oh yeah. So the monitor came on and it's showing that the battery is 0%. Huh, I thought it would at least have some juice, but okay. Maybe that's because I didn't turn anything else on. So let me go ahead and switch the solar controller circuit breaker on. All right, so we got The display working. Okay, so this is showing 12.9 volt. This is also showing 12.9 volt, but the battery itself is completely dead. So now I have to charge the battery. But luckily, the monitor and the solar controller, the default setting is for the lithium-ion battery. Now these could work with non-lithium-ion batteries, like lead acid batteries and stuff, but their default setting is for the lithium-ion battery, so which is good. So I don't have to change anything. And let me toggle the inverter. And then let me try turning this on, see what the display looks like. So this inverter is showing that the battery is 100% full. And then from the display, we're getting some type of wattage being used. Because the inverter, you know, when you turn on the inverter, it always draws some type of energy. So maybe I might have to set the display. Let me look at the manual quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so when you initially first start, you have to program it. And as you can see, number 2, make sure the battery and battery system is fully charged, and then press and hold the up key to set the current capacity to full capacity. Or if the battery is completely dead, you know, you press the down arrow key. But since this is showing that it's 100%, I'm not gonna take this word for it. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna charge the battery overnight with the 20 amp battery charger, and then I'll go ahead and set that to fully charged battery. But yeah, everything seems to be working, and this has been a great little fun project that took me all day to do it, but definitely worth it. I do have to do some little wire management up there, but other than that, it's pretty much done. And now I have an off-grid solar power system in my vehicle at all times that could be charged while the truck is in motion. So this is great. So I want to thank LiTime for sending this product for me to test and share with you guys. And again, the batteries in my current travel trailer is working phenomenally. So make sure to check out LiTime for your next project. Also, LiTime is having a huge Black Friday sale going on right now till December 1st. And you'll also get 30-day best price guarantee protection. So don't miss out on the year's best prices and take advantage of their sale price right now. All right, so I charged the battery to 100%. So initially when you get this monitor, you have to go through a setting. So press and hold the setting button. And that'll take you into this mode, okay? So this is the settings mode. So you have to set this before you could actually fully use it. So default setting, the capacity is at 100 amp hour. So if you add extra battery, or if you do a parallel of batteries to make it to 200, 300 amp hour, then you switch it from here. And then the full voltage is for lithium-ion battery is 14.2. So when you first turn this on, it's at 0. So you have to change it to 14.2. And simply just press the down arrow and press the setting button again. And you could switch it from, 24 volt to 14 volt or whatever your battery is. And then once you're done with that, press and hold the setting button again. And then you could go down here. 0 volt is, obviously 0. Power off, you have an option to power the battery off if it goes below a certain voltage. And this is the alarm. So you can set your amp, and if it goes to below that, it'll start beeping at you. And then attention at a certain percentage. So once you set all of that, press and hold this button, and it'll take you back. Now once the battery is fully charged, you have to press and hold the up arrow button. And then that'll set itself back to 100 amp hour or fully charged status. If the battery is completely dead, then you press and hold the down arrow button. And for the McTuning switch panel, this is wireless, so you have to charge it. And I didn't use this for a while, so it's being charged right now. But in order to use it, since it's going to be turned on every time I turn the main switch on over there, so we have to flick the switch to the left side, and they'll turn on the switch panel. So every time I turn that on, this will turn on. And then if I press, I think I have this one as the USB. So if I click that, yeah, the light just lit up and the USB turned on. And then this one is the fifth one. Oh yeah. So that turned the DC port, cigarette charger. And as you can see, the monitor is showing us the amp being withdrawn. It's a tiny little bit from the USB port. So yeah, everything's working perfect. All right, guys, so this project took me all day to finish, but I'm so glad I did it because now I don't have to carry a big, heavy power station around with me. And also have to remember to charge the power station before heading out. So essentially, this is what a portable power station would be, minus the 8-gang switch panel, but now it's mounted on the camper. And since LiTime products all have safety features, this system is just as safe as a power station. So if you want to tackle this project, I'll leave the links to all the items that I used today in the video description. And if you have any questions, please ask it in the comment section and I'll get to you as soon as I can. And make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification because next I'm going to be adding lights both inside and outside of the camper and putting a 270-degree awning, so you don't want to miss that. So again, thank you LiTime for providing your wonderful product for me to test and so that I could share with my viewers. And if this video was helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And thank you all for tuning in today. And until next time, keep chasing adventures and I'll see you all on my next video.